So let me first of all just thank everybody for attending. This is a great way, I think, to reach the citizens of Roanoke County, and it's a very transparent way. I got about 10 minutes worth of comments I'd like to make, and then I'm going to open it up. Some of the press is here, people, citizens of Roanoke County are here. Ask me any questions you want. That's why we're here. First of all, like it or not, most elected officials use the banner of either the Republican Party or the Democrat Party as they seek office. Every member of the current Board of Supervisors has used the Republican banner when they ran for office. This banner, along with being financially supported by the Republican Party, which means dues-paying members of the Republican Party, helped them get elected to their current office. And now this current board is not following even the basic philosophy of the party we represent and what was promised to the people of Roanoke County. The free enterprise system is the most productive supplier of human needs and economic justice. The all-Republican Roanoke County Board of Supervisors is about to vote 4-1, mind you, against the key plank of the Republican creed of Virginia. The vote I'm referring to, obviously, is the pending decision of the Roanoke County Board of Supervisors to use taxpayer dollars, $3.4 million worth of hard-earned taxpayer dollars to subsidize the Roanoke Valley Broadband Authority. Now, let me just tell you, the Roanoke Republican Party of Roanoke County felt so strongly against this type of infringement that even the Roanoke County Republican Party sent a resolution to the board back in 2015 that stated, "Be it resolved by the Roanoke County Republican Committee on January 8, 2015, that the Roanoke County Republican Committee urged the Roanoke County Board of Supervisors not to interfere in the free enterprise system by using taxpayer dollars in conjunction with the Roanoke Valley Regional Broadband Authority." I lay that out there because we are a board of 5 people, and we're all Republicans, and this is a basic free enterprise principle that we should all abide by. Citizens complain about government involvement in the private sector all the time, but yet it continues to happen. The reason given for the need of government involvement is so predictable, and it's happening again. Government creates dissension among the citizens by stating that the current providers of a good or service are not able to keep up with the desires of the community at a fair and competitive price. So government must intervene. Sound familiar? One of the greatest current examples is Obamacare. Every day we heard how expensive and inadequate healthcare was in America, and we lagged behind the rest of the civilized world. Government needed to step in to force competition, improve quality, and lower prices. Promises were made that those happy with their doctor would be able to keep them, and that there would be an average $2,500 reduction in premiums each year per family. We're all still waiting. It's the same that's going to happen with this broadband. In fact, Roanoke County has experience in intervening in the free market. And it was a financial failure. And it continues to hurt citizens of Roanoke County financially. Let me remind everybody about this financial failure. Several years ago, Roanoke County government surveyed its citizens and asked what additional services they would like to have in Roanoke County. One of the many answers, but again, not the top answer that came back, was that they wanted a large recreation center. So, the Roanoke Valley jumped in, the Roanoke County jumped in, and the funny thing was that at that time we had dozens of recreational facilities that were meeting and serving the community at a competitive market-driven price. But that didn't stop Roanoke County from jumping into this fitness business. After several years of operation, the Roanoke County Greenwich Center, which is in the Hollins district, mind you, is still losing about $1.5 million a year. Now, let's do a little math. Since there are approximately 90,000 Roanoke County citizens, the losses each year cost each citizen, not each voter, but each citizen, about $17. In other words, my family of 7, and we are not members of the Greenwich Center, we subsidize this facility at the tune of $119 a year. I had other plans for my $119. When I bring issues like this up before the board, no one on the board ever can deny it. What they say is, Well, no one on the current board voted for it, and the county administrator is no longer here. And that is true. It always seems that these things are done, and then when it comes to time for accountability, no one is around. They've either been fired by the people or they move on. I assume the same will happen with this. Now, let's turn our attention to why we're here today, broadband issue. The similarities, though, are very striking to the other issues I said, the Obamacare and the Greenwich Center. There are currently more than a half a dozen broadband providers that service the Roanoke Valley. Now, some of the names are familiar, but some are not. Cox, Verizon, Lumos, Comcast, but there are several others that you don't even know about that actually provide service in the Roanoke Valley. These vendors provide service to the community at a price that is profitable to them, allowing them to stay in business, reinvest in the community, and continue to serve their clients better. This, surprisingly enough to a lot of people, is the heart of our free enterprise system. In fact, in 2014, I invited several of the broadband vendors to a Board of Supervisors meeting to discuss this issue, because this issue did come up back a year and a half ago. The takeaway from the meeting was that the current vendors could handle any need that would arise from current or even prospective clients. And in fact, here's a great example. In 2010 or 2011 maybe, Cox Communication expanded its fiber broadband infrastructure in the Roanoke Valley to accommodate 30 current businesses, plus prospective businesses that might settle in the Roanoke County Center for Research, and that's in the Glenver area, in West County. Guess what happened? Well, as of today, 2 businesses now are in the Center for Technology. There are about 6 empty business lots in that center, and they've been empty now for the last 5 or 6 years, and they are ready to go with fiber backbone right in front of the business. Roanoke County government wants to take $3.4 million of hard-earned taxpayer dollars and subsidize this kind of quasi-government institution called the Roanoke Valley Broadband Authority. By the way, its 4 board members are the 4 county administrators or city managers of government. All right, this organization will lay down 25 segmented miles worth of fiber in Roanoke County. That's what we're paying for, our piece of it. Roanoke City and City of Salem have already done it. Our piece is to give $3.4 million of Roanoke County taxpayer money, and this organization will lay down 25 miles of fiber. Now, that fiber is going to go right next to fiber that already exists in the ground today by Cox or Lumos or whoever. And again, there are several other vendors that already have fiber in the ground. We are going to lay it in the ground right next to it, because the Roanoke Valley Broadband Authority is not interested in remote parts of the county that may have low quality or maybe even no service at all. They are also not interested in upgrading residential service. This has nothing to do with somebody at home being able to stream videos faster. This is nothing to do with residential. It's all about the business. The Roanoke Valley Broadband Authority is strategically laying fiber next to schools, government buildings, and large businesses, so that they will be able to allure the businesses from the current provider with quote-unquote a more competitive price, which is done by subsidizing it from us. Now, in America, we have a free enterprise system, which allows the marketplace to determine what is a competitive price for goods and service. If the taxpayers are going to subsidize the Roanoke Valley Broadband Authority so that they can offer a lower price than the private sector, how will the private sector be able to compete? Good question. They probably won't. Now, since the Roanoke Valley Broadband Authority is a quasi-government authority, does it even have to comply with all the regulations and startup costs that private sector businesses have to comply with? And I would ask the media this year, is all the agendas are posted on the Roanoke Valley Broadband Authority website. And I've looked through several of them, and one of them allowed a waiver to the Roanoke Valley Broadband Authority for posting a performance bond. Most companies, when they do construction work or do something, they have to post a bond. In the minutes itself, it says that they thought that that would be very costly, so they had a waiver. and the waiver was voted on by the 4 county administrators or city managers. Is that really fair to the private business? Does the private sector receive this type of waiver? No. If private sector broadband providers can't compete with taxpayer-subsidized broadband, maybe they will stop providing service and leave Roanoke altogether. Now, isn't that a brilliant economic development strategy for us? Have everybody leave? Now, this may be music to the ears, though, of the Roanoke Valley Broadband Authority, since this will allow them to continue to take over businesses and then monopolize the market themselves and then eventually raise prices in order to offset costs. It happens all the time. They'd be the only player. And in addition to this, this will allow them to justify their existence. Well, there's no one else here. We have to be here. Why would any business reinvest back in the community if they knew that 5 people on the Board of Supervisors had that much power that they could make it extremely difficult for them to conduct their business and be profitable? Now, just as an aside though, you know, these current providers do more than provide broadband. They're a part of sponsoring events in the Roanoke Valley. And I'll just tell you, right now, the Dogwood Festival, which is in the Vinton area, guess who it's sponsored by? Well, one of the largest sponsors, Cox Communications. See, they not only do things around our community, but then they also put money back into our community, help sponsor events that maybe we couldn't normally have if we didn't have that kind of sponsorship. We will slowly start to lose that, since where is the extra money, the profit, in order to be able to do things like that? When government starts competing against them, will they continue? Will any of the providers continue to be involved in our community? That will be left to be seen. Now, let's look at another possible result of government subsidies of broadband. Because maybe what I said won't happen. Maybe it won't. Now, maybe the private sector providers will realize that fighting government is very time-consuming and expensive. And they'll start colluding with and lobbying government to get their fair share of the business. Something else to consider. The marketplace has proven that products or services subsidized by taxpayers lacks the need to innovate, since they are supported by taxpayer dollars that are never ending. And that is the truth. The private sector constantly has to innovate because it needs profit to reinvest. Government, we got taxpayer dollars. Why would we innovate anything in order to save money? We don't need to. The Roanoke Valley Broadband Authority may be installing fiber along with our current providers today, but what happens when technology changes? Things are going wireless now. Maybe there's some other technology we don't even know about. Will the government authority respond as well as the private sector? I doubt it. And in fact, history has proven overwhelmingly that government has a hard time keeping up and innovating. Now, let me also propose another reason why government involvement in the private sector is a bad idea. And that is because once government gains control of a product or service, they will become the gatekeeper. And remember, government has talked about open access. They're the gatekeeper to open access, by the way. Maybe they will then determine who is allowed to play in the internet broadband game. As an example, the Roanoke Valley Broadband Authority says that its fiber backbone will be an open access to all that want to attach to it and provide the final mile. Under what conditions must the provider comply? Will the vendors have to comply with onerous regulations that only make those that are well connected to government be able to compete? What if the Roanoke Valley Broadband Authority does not like the politics of a certain vendor that wants to attach to the backbone? Would the RVBA be able to deny access to companies that did not share social government mandated values of Roanoke Valley government? The questions are endless, and this is why government involvement in the private sector is not a good idea. Government involvement in the free market also leaves the door wide open for corruption. In fact, there is the Bristol, Virginia United Utilities Authority, which is a great example because it's cited a lot. A former contractor for the BVU is now serving 2 years for supplying fake invoices and paying kickbacks to the Bristol Utility Authority. And another individual who was the vice president of the Bristol Utility Authority pleaded guilty for conspiring with the contractor. They're both serving time now. As a Roanoke County Supervisor, we have sworn to be good stewards of the people's money. We are the ones responsible for this, and we can say no. And let me tell you something, I blame board leadership and the county administration for allowing this issue to come to the front without prior workshops with the board and full agreement by the board that this was a good idea. We should have had the private sector come in. We should have had outside consultants come in and discuss this issue with us. None of that was done. None of it was done. It was simply the Roanoke Valley Broadband Authority 2 weeks ago came and presented their case. I, by the way, have asked that we have the providers come to our next meeting. I asked for that 4 days ago. I was denied. They told me I had to ask for it at our next meeting, and then it would be on the May 10th meeting. Now, it is true that the county administrator and the chairman have the right to put whatever they want on the agenda. They can put whatever they want. Sometimes they consult us, sometimes not. They just do it. I was courteous to provide about 9 days ahead of time that I wanted to have providers. I had 1 or 2 providers that were ready to go. I called them back and told them maybe May 10th. Now, let me ask you this. Both of our chairman and vice chairman are business people. And this is why it's so hard for me to understand why we're moving in this direction. Our chairman is a bank officer, and our vice chairman is a restaurant ice cream shop entrepreneur. I love it. That's great. They work in the private sector. They have the luxury of living and competing in the free enterprise system every day. Would it be fair if Roanoke County decided to build bank buildings and allow anyone that wanted to get into the bank business and offer loans to do so by simply doing business out of the government-owned bank buildings? Hey, that's open access, right? We build some buildings around town. If you want to get in the bank business and compete against the other big banks here, there are 4 or 5 big banks. You do that. Just rent that space there and start competing against them. Now, I bet you I could gather people in the Roanoke Valley that would testify to the fact that loan rates are high, or maybe that it's difficult to get a loan. So why not have open access and government get involved? What about the cost of a sandwich or ice cream? What is a fair price for a sandwich or ice cream? Maybe I think it's too expensive. Maybe I could gather a lot of people around town that think it's too expensive to go and have lunch and an ice cream. Would it be fair to Roanoke County to create the Lunch and Ice Cream Authority and fund it with taxpayer dollars and build shops all around Roanoke that others then could occupy and compete against current vendors of sandwich and ice cream? Now, I really hope that that sounds ridiculous to a lot of you, and you're kind of chuckling inside, because I'd get very nervous if they didn't. But let me tell you something. It is just as ridiculous for Roanoke County to start funding broadband and subsidizing this sector of the free enterprise system. If some organization wants to compete against the current providers of broadband, let them do it. It's a free country, and in fact, many people are. In the Roanoke Valley, there are many small businesses that are actually laying fiber and competing, and they do it in niche markets too, all over the country. Imagine that. But let them use their own money and do it. By proceeding with this subsidy, Roanoke County is also implying that the current providers of broadband are somehow to blame for lackluster economic prosperity in Roanoke County. And you know what? That really irritates me. We in government tend to blame everybody else for why we don't have economic development. Maybe government is the issue, and lower taxes and a more business-friendly environment would be the answer. Maybe the providers are not the problem. Let me end with this, and thank you for being patient. I am of Greek heritage, and there's a great story in Greek mythology that is a perfect ending to this. Many of you may know Ulysses. He was the legendary Greek king of Ithaca and the hero of Homer's epic poem, The Odyssey. Now, he provides us with a great example that there are times when we must resist tempting voices. When he was making the sea voyage back to Greece after the Trojan War, he knew that his ship would have to pass through a dangerous area that was inhabited by beautiful creatures known as sirens. It was told that sirens were able to lure sailors with their beautiful song, causing them to shipwreck on the rocky coast of their islands. Nevertheless, Ulysses wanted to hear the song of the sirens because he knew that if anyone could hear their voices and not be lured towards them, the sirens would lose their power forever and eventually wither away. As his ship neared the sirens' homeland, Ulysses told his men to put wax plugs in their ears and to tie him securely to the mast. He instructed them that no matter how hard he struggled and gestured or how forcibly he ordered them to cut the ropes, they were not to change course under any circumstance. The crew of the ship followed Ulysses' orders, and he made it through. It's time for the citizens of Roanoke County to follow the advice of Ulysses. Stand strong and resist the tempting voices. Those are luring voices of the sirens of government that promise increased economic development and prosperity if only we will allow them to take our money and grow just a little larger. In 2014, I will just end with this little tidbit, which I don't think anybody knew. 2011, Roanoke County was actually named as one of the top 20 broadband locations in the country and could possibly be the next Silicon Valley. Did something happen in the last 4 or 5 years? Maybe government is trying to ride this wave and profit from that. Thank you very much. I appreciate your patience, and I would be more than happy to answer any questions.